This month we're tying the Allen Brothers Hare's Ear Nymph, which is a takeoff from a very popular original. We've added to it a tungsten bead so that it sinks quickly with low mass, and a partridge soft hackle collar to give it some movement in the water column as it's dead drifted or as it even starts to swing before the end of the drift. It's a perfect complement to the first month where we tied the pheasant tail, because you will then have a light and a dark version of mayfly species to imitate in a generic sense. If you have those two, you'll be very well equipped to fish a lot of situations in North America or around the globe for that case. Learn to tie this fly, and we think you'll love the fly. It's one of our other very most favorites. I'm going to start by inserting the point of the hook into the small hole of the bead. So we have that concave in the back there that we're going to put our materials in at the end. Start the thread right behind the bead, travel it down. So we start to really make the hard curve there, and break that off or cut it off. Next step, we're going to take the dyed mallard and get some nice even tips. About 8 to 12 fibers is what you're guessing at. So we got nice and tight there. Go ahead and make a few loose loops. Check for size, just a little shorter, just about right there. Bring it right up behind the bead, go ahead and clip off the excess. Attach our copper right there. Create a nice uniform body, strong and tight. Bring it down to where those tails are tied in. Alright. Take some of the Hare's Ear Plus mix and dub a nice, fairly thin to begin with. Some people tie their hare's ears really fat and bunchy. I like to tie this one just somewhere in between, not super thin, but not so fat and bunchy that it looks like too fat, I guess. Most mayflies got some bulk, but we're going to build that taper there. We're just going to make this about half the length between the tails there and the bead. So now we're going to wrap the copper through the hare's ear there. These even wraps. Bring it all the way in front of that abdomen. Give it a couple nice tight wraps. Pick it up. A couple more wraps in front of it. Then we're going to just wind it around till it breaks off to form that hook that'll hold the copper in place a little better for us. And we're going to tie in the flashback material. And like I was referring to, this body, if you make it a little longer there than you want, you can go ahead and wrap back to where our thorax is going to be pulled over and get that a little shorter. So did that there, so my mylar's coming out about half the way between the bead and where the tail comes out, right in there. I'm going to go back a little more. There we go. Let that set. Pick out about a dozen or so pheasant tail fibers. You can do that with the natural tips forward. This is going to be our wing case, and we're going to clip those, so it doesn't really matter. We're just going to go ahead and lay that on there, tie it in, and wrap it back to about the middle of the body where that mylar is coming off for the flashback. About the same there. And secure that. Go ahead and lift and clip the ends there, since those are just waste. And we got the wing case ready to go. So we're going to dub in more of the Hare's Ear Plus. This can be fairly fuzzy. It doesn't have to be a little bulkier than the abdomen. because we want that to get picked out as we fish it, or we can pick it out ahead of time, make it look a little fuzzier. Nice little fuzzy ball there. If you got an extra big fiber like that, just pop it off. Nice thorax that's defined but not so big that it's overwhelming. We'll pull the pheasant tail over there, wing case, tie it off, a couple wraps, 1, 2, 3, then a couple in front of it, clip off that, pull the mylar over and do the same thing. Make sure it's right in the middle there. 1, 2, 3. Lift the mylar, a couple wraps in front of it between the bead and the mylar, clip it off. Next step is to take the partridge feather that's supplied and prepare it for the folded hackle method on the soft hackle collar. What we're going to do is hold the very tip of that feather with a fingernail. Go ahead and pull back, gently pull back. We're not trying to strip these fibers off, we're just trying to stroke them back to where it looks like this. A nice little area you can tie it in at. So take the partridge feather and lay it down. We're going to just tie it in right behind the bead. Lay it up there, make a couple wraps. Try not to get it too tight or you can break that stem off. When you start to wrap the partridge, go ahead and clip that off. Then we're going to fold the hackle around the stem, so we're going to lift this straight up. We're going to fold those hackle fibers around the stem like so. We're going to fold around, make a wrap. And we're going to bring it back up to the top. As we bring it up, we're going to fold it again a second time. And then we're not going to go a full second time. We're going to go around just that half turn. Make a couple wraps to secure it. When it's fuzzy like this, you won't see your wraps. You just go ahead and make those. Then you can clip it off and get everything kind of out of the way. And then you can see where you're at with the hackle. A lot of times it gets a little crazy. You can trim some off if you've got too much hackle or anything like that. Go ahead and make a few wraps. Make sure they're all seated in there behind the bead with your fingernail there. So there's our partridge collar sticking off the back there. It's a little heavy on the bottom here, just happened to be that particular piece, so I'm going to trim off a few pieces. You don't want the hackle so heavy that it overwhelms the fly. You want them to be able to move and flow in the water. A few longer ones here too. I'm just going to quick trim those. Alright, and then one of the last steps here, we're going to add a little more dubbing. Still just enough. This is going to be to cover our threads behind the bead so that they're not vulnerable to the fish tooth when we hook a fish. I'll just cover those up, make sure your fibers are pulled back so you don't capture those. Just a couple little wraps. Push your fingernails, slide them right around the bead and on that back side and kind of squeeze tightly to get the thread to make sure it seats behind there. We're going to make a couple half hitches, 3 or 4. Hold tight, and then again you want to kind of massage that, get that to go back into the back of the bead there. Go ahead and clip that off, and there is our Allen Brothers Hare's ear with the flashback and the soft hackle partridge collar.